What do? I don't know why that lasted so long. Happy Thursday, everyone.
Happy Thursday. Happy my second Thursday at home.
Correct. I'm feeling better-ish. My homeboy tried to tell me that I wasn't that sick, and I was like, you don't know my life. Tell that to my chest and my nose, but I meant
said that. Never mind.
It's all jokes. Anyway, tonight we're talking about all things flexibility. Okay, it's very important.
Flexible,
girl. Okay, we're not talking about physically, but shout out to you that are also flexible.
It's important.
Why it's important is because if you've been a human for any length of time, you know that, as we always say on the show, life gonna be lifing, things gonna be changing. Life is going to cause you to adjust. Sometimes for the better, other times for the worst.
Lord have mercy.
But how you deal with it really comes down to how flexible are you as a human being. You gotta acknowledge what's happening, how it's happening, and how you can absorb said punches that life throws at you, said curveballs that life throws at you. So tonight, again, it's all about flexibility. It's teaching you how to develop all of I'm not saying just our strengths. Take some big steps toward personal growth. You know, we're all about that here. And ideally, since this is Create Generational Wellness, helping the people that you love do the same thing. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, could be interested in,
stay.
Or whatever, you just don't have anything else to do, you should stay.
Stick
around. This episode is for you.
Hi, I'm Pam Williams, a mother.
And I'm Jessica E. Williams, a daughter. And this is a mother and a daughter truthful chat, where we discuss our 35-year multi-layered relationship.
We've been through so many ups and downs. Not only are we family, but we're business partners in the high-stress world of event planning and production for short films.
We've also shared the same therapist for over 10 years. What some people call codependence, we call collaboration.
So join us as we share stories from our lives,
have candid conversations with other mother-daughter duos,
and shed light on the roller coaster ride of being a woman while raising a woman.
That's true. All right.
You almost caught me sneezing, but
no, they caught it. All right, y'all. Cupped up. You know what time it is. I didn't hear no call one more time. There we go. It ain't real if it don't clink. You feel me? Anyway, welcome to Truthful Chats. If you are here for the first time, welcome. We're happy you're here. If you've been here since the beginning, you were A1 since day one.
Right,
we love you.
We love you.
You stay 10 toes down. If you've been here before, and now you're coming back, welcome back. You know what I mean? This is Truthful Chats. This is our weekly podcast under the umbrella of Create Generational Wellness, which is what we're all about around here. If you have never heard of that term before, that's because we made it up. There, somewhere below this video, there is a description. If you hear somebody with the term in their mouth and they're not melanated us, you know what time it is. And the word's a little scrappy nuck if you buck, okay? We're originators around here, never duplicators. So I just want that to be TI clear that you heard it here first, okay? Create Generational Wellness, our term. You can use it, but you got to be a part of the fam. So don't just be like, yeah, so I heard. No. Pam and Jess didn't say it ain't official, okay? Anyway, here at Create Generational Wellness, we usually have a theme of the month. And then the Truthful Chats are weekly episodes where we unpack that theme just a little bit. So if you joined us last week, we're doing something a little different. Since we have been doing this podcast for over a year and some change, we discussed many topics. But as we're like narrowing down this Create Generational Wellness lifestyle, we want to make some things clear. Okay, so last week we started a sermon series. I'm playing. Pastor Mike talk. Anyway,
series.
This is a series. So the word of the month is tenet. Shout out to them. Okay. Again, I enjoyed that movie. I know it wasn't for everyone, but I liked it. Shout out to Christopher Nolan. I missed the IMAX. I really did. I was really mad. Anyway, the theme of the month for March is Tenet. Last week we did the first Create Generational Wellness Tenet. Say that 3 times fast.
So yes,
you are one of one. Okay. And today's episode is Create Generational Wellness Tenet.
number 2.
You bend. You don't break. You bend. You don't break. All right. So let us get into it.
So just to review what a tenet is, it is a philosophy, a principle. You usually hear tenets of faith, tenets of democracy, but it's just a guiding principle that you're building something on. It's the foundation. I'm so sorry. So it's from the Latin meaning to hold.
The Latin. Everything comes from the Latin, doesn't it?
The Latin. Did you know I took Latin for 4 years?
Yes, girl.
So
Did they know you took Latin for 4 years?
For 4 years. Everything comes from Latin. But anyway.
Because English is a bastardized
language. It means to hold. So this is something that you're holding on to. It's something that you hold, fast. It's something that you hold as a principle.
It's a tenet.
It's a tenet. That's what it is. And so as we've been going through this for the last year or so, we realized there's some things that we keep coming back to on a regular basis. There's some principles, some guiding philosophies, some guiding beliefs. And we finally said, you know what? I think we are to a point where we have some kind of like 4 or 5.
Lay a foundation
of the tenets that you need to create generational wellness. So, flexibility, change, we've talked about it a lot last year. I think our first episode
that was
ever.
The first month of episodes. Our theme was changed, so go back and watch those.
January 2023. But being flexible is all about moving with life's current rhythms, not letting them get you down. If you need to change, if you need to move, if you need to adjust, if you need to flow, if you need to do all those things, adapt to the situations and circumstances that are going on around you, so that, like Jessica said, you bend, you don't break, right? You bend, you don't break. So you might, if you've been with us for a while, you might hear us say some things that we've said before. But again, we're at a point where we're trying to say, this is the number 1 principle of creating generational wellness. This is the second, this is the third, this is the fourth. Don't know how many they're going to be, but we'll see as we go.
We won't overwhelm you, though, because we have to remember these. So.
And we want to make it easy for you to remember in the midst of a crisis, in the midst of a crisis, in the midst of a situation. We want you to be able to have something to stand on, fall back on.
A firm foundation, as they say in the faith.
In the faith, amen. So listen, change is either going to be met with one of 2 things. You're either going to embrace it or you're going to resist it. And hopefully we are getting you to the point where you can understand that embracing it is the better option, okay? Our resistance to change is normal. Human beings don't like change. We like to be in control. We want it to go the way it has always gone. We want it to be routine. But there's usually a reason why you're resistant to change. And most of the time, it is rooted in some kind of fear. So if you can get to the root
and control
of what the fear is, well, the fear is you're not going to be in control. Right. But usually there's something else under that. There's a reason why you don't want to lose control. There's some.
Unless you're Missy Elliott, it's the era.
I knew you
make you lose control. Music make you lose control. That's a great record. To this day. It's a great record.
But there's a reason why you don't want to be out of control. Something happened in your childhood, somewhere, whatever. Something happened that made you have this fear of losing control, or things are not going to go the way you thought or whatever. But I read a great quote today, and it said, we must be willing to give up the life we planned so that we can live the life that is waiting for us. So we all have a plan. We all think we know, but there's usually something on the other side of what we thought that's better than what we imagined.
You think you know, but you have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that. That's how they used to start Diary, for those of us who are old enough to remember when Diary was a thing on MTV. Anyway, I like that quote a lot because speaking from very personal experience, giving up the life you planned is not an easy thing. Okay. You know, when you're young, they be telling you plan your life, what do you want to be, have goals, dreams. My favorite quote also from Love and Basketball. Let me see if I can quote it verbatim.
Of course you can.
It's a trip when you're a kid, you know. You see the life you want, and it never crosses your mind that it's not gonna turn out that way. That was Monica, aka so now like that. Yeah, and so you do all of them. I had to take a minute. You see that? I wanted to get it. Yeah, it doesn't cross your mind that it's not gonna turn out that way. And when it starts reshaping itself and shapeshifting, it's a very painful process. Because you put so much mental time, emotional energy into what you think things are gonna be or supposed to be. And then when that doesn't start happening and you start letting things go, it is a very painful process. It hurts a lot. There's a grieving process, okay? Because you are literally mourning something that you thought that was gonna happen that's not gonna happen for whatever reason. It just, people are moving, things are shifting. They don't feel the same way you do about the situation. Y'all look at it in two different ways. The job is not what it appeared to be at the first. Things shift, things change. Okay. We always talk about transformation. So after the grieving process, though, you have to be hopefully open to what's coming towards you, because your perspective, as Pam just said, is hella crucial. Okay. Because blessings and upgrades can look like pure trash, losses, and downgrades if you're not ready for them. Okay. And even if they're exponentially better than what you was actually planning, like if you're not seeing it right, all of it's going to really just go over your head because your expectation was this, and now these things are happening, and they could legit be really, really good things, and you just be like, but it's not what I wanted, so I hate it, so it's trash.
Listen, perspective should be fluid. You know, we talk about a lot of things.
We talk about a lot of things being fluid, but the perspective
should definitely be fluid because stuff is gonna change.
You're gonna break if it's not.
Yeah,
that's probably one of the main things to being
not
flexible.
You know, values, beliefs, principles, whatever. Those things are kind of, you know, hopefully etched in stone until they need to change. But
we have episodes
of it can be fluid, and hopefully you'll be able to do that. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and at the end of the day, all of that, from the letting go to the things are changing to it's not going the way that I thought to, oh God, what am I going to do to new things are happening? I don't know if I like it or not. As we've been saying, all of it is rooted in fear and a fear of a lack of control at the end of the day, which is, again, a perfectly normal human response. We get anxious. Change is hard. Letting go is hard. Again, humans love routine. We like to know what's coming so we can prep, plan, and prepare. In any form of uncertainty, we always talk about this. Your brain is wired for survival. Okay. Yeah. So anything that feels like lack of survival, like uncertainty, period. But uncertainty to your brain feels like survival. Why? Because
lack of survival.
Here's the thing. Any type of uncertainty to your brain feels like something we need to figure out how to calculate how we could survive this experience.
It can because it can feel like failure in your brain.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
But it feels like failure to your brain because it hasn't been able to compute all the things that it needs to be able to compute to figure out how to survive the situation. So it's a whole level, any type of uncertainty. It could be bad uncertainty. It could be good uncertainty. Like, this is a new job. It's great. You got all the benefits, all the money, but it's just new. So it's different. So it's just going to be weird for you. So any type of uncertainty can be deduced as failure in your brain. Failure is bad for your brain because it starts that fight or flight. Like, well, what are we doing? Like, what kind of threat level is this? Like, what do we need to be doing? And it could be something that's super positive, actually, but it's just not. Your brain hasn't had time to process and catch up, which is a lot of what we're talking about. So, it's all new, and the newness is good, but you gotta probably take a little bit of time to like let your brain process, let your emotions process, let your mental mind and your physical process all the things before you just start jumping headfirst and allowing yourself to be stopped because your brain is overwhelmed by the level of uncertainty, good or bad.
Listen, and I was today years old when I found out that there is a severe level of this fear of change that is called, hopefully I can say this right.
If not, Google it.
Metathesiophobia. Metathesiophobia.
Like meta, like a thing with a thing.
Yeah.
That's how I understand meta.
Metathesiophobia. So this
fear
is when
fear.
Your fear of change is really, really deep. It's not just the normal kind of like one that we all have, but it goes into a different level. So you experience extreme self-doubt, lack of self-esteem, panic attacks, social anxiety, depression, like all of this. When you start thinking about change, all of this comes up in you and for you. And it is an inability to adapt to new situations. So you're going to feel all those things. You're going to be tired. You're going to have overwhelming fatigue. You're going to be depressed. You're going to have anxiety. You're going to feel pain. You're going to feel stress. All of it around the idea of something might need to change. So don't panic. We all know some of those words. We all say, have felt them. And sometimes, especially given what we've been through in the last few years, which we'll talk about a little bit more, we all have a right to kind of be in that place.
Well, you just talk about it now. I don't know.
Yeah.
Why are you not talking about it now?
I guess so, right? It explains why people are afraid to make change, even when you know it's the best thing for you, because stuff has just gone off the rails. You know what I mean? The pandemic, the thing, the man, the whoever, the whatever, whose name I refuse to say. Our brains are designed to be at peace and to find peace in knowing that, like Jessica said, there's a certainty about some things. So when you find that your brain can't latch on to where that peace is, where that place of knowing, where that place of certainty is, you don't want to move, because where you are, at least you know what's going to happen here where you are. But the idea of like, I got this uncertainty, and if I take a step, it's going to make me be even more uncertain about what's going on. That's a scary place, like for most people to be.
Which I think is why the pandemic was so like jarring for people, because it really, everything that people felt was certain, everything was uncertain. Like you couldn't even go outside, which I feel like people are very like certain of. Like I could at least go walk and be around other humans, and they were like, nah, bro, you can't even do that. Like I certainly could go to the grocery store. Nah, bro, you can't even do that. Every sense of certainty where people were like, well, people I know can't give it to me, and they were like, but they can, bro. So it was very much like, I think everybody started
They thought black people couldn't get it.
I remember when black people, we was like, well, I don't know what to tell y'all because we can't get it, and then we started dying in massive numbers.
Especially in the church, which we thought that wasn't going to happen.
Which was super preventative, which on another podcast that I used to be a part of, that might be coming back. We talked about that extensively. Some of that was preventative, except for ego. And people wanted, I get the certainty of church, okay? But I have become a member of Bedside Baptist probably about 2-3 years before that. So none of this was really jarring to me. But I think even in the midst of like when things were weird and we didn't know what was really going on, I kept being like, all of this is temporary. Like what I do know, I'm gonna tell you how, even in all the midst of uncertainty, I was certain that that thing was going to change eventually, which I think a lot of people lost sight of that. And then they started doing things that they probably regret now. But again, it was your brain was overloaded with a lot of uncertainty on a regular, everyday basis. So I think a lot of people are still
dealing with it,
feeling the effects of that for sure.
Yeah, and circumstances will cause you to have to make some decisions. It will force you into a particular way of being. And especially if you put some cultural, historical context around that, which was a lot of the episodes that we had in February, where we talked about how our history in this country has caused.
Those were Living Black History episodes for 2024. We did one in 2023. 2024, we got real deep. It was deep dive. So.
Living history. So go back and listen. But it will also kind of give you some context around why change
in the Black community
is genetically a little bit harder. I mean, even though we've had to be flexible and adapt other, or whatever.
People of color,
yes. Yes.
That doesn't mean you don't have problems. White people, I can hear them, but we have problems too. Yes, we know. Basic, typical human life is hard problems, okay? But we're talking about in a full scope.
Let's pack something on top of it.
Of systemic,
pack that on top of that, and
continued hindrances for generations based on something that people can't change, which is their skin.
And so when you get to a place where you feel like, okay, things are not moving and shaking so much here, I'm just going to plant my feet right here and I'm going to stay right here. The idea of change that could possibly impact your life and make it better on the other side doesn't seem like it's worth the risk.
Facts. Because these systems and the things that we talked about last month, just in terms of historical context, are meant to break. Let's be TI clear about that. This is breakable, okay? We are an unbreakable people, but that don't mean that the break factor ain't there, okay? And that it's not strategically placed there. And so I think a lot of what we discussed last month was really, again, related to survival, because that's what our brains are going to do. That's what we just naturally are going to do as humans on the planet. Because our ancestors really dealt with real-time fear.
Survival, yeah.
Okay, serious fear, and a lot of circumstances that were completely out of their control externally all the time. So when you have that going externally, real life things now, we talking everything from you don't get to decide how you're going to spend your days, how much sleep you got. If you're sick or you're pregnant, you better get out in these fields. To your whole family could be sold away. Who you going to be sleep with? Who you going to marry? What's going to happen to your kids? Are you even going to be alive? Are you getting whooped today? Are people getting lynched today? Are you getting chased today?
Are people disappearing today? You don't know.
Is your church being bombed? Is your house being bombed? Is your business being burned? I mean, real life.
Is your child being killed? Is your
actual things that persist to this day. Not trying to be gloom and doom, but you know what I'm talking about. So I would imagine, and we talked about this, I think we had several revelations as we were doing those episodes, that would completely exacerbate your internal fear and lack of control.
Yeah.
Because especially when you start talking about having kids, and this persists for generations of you trying to keep yourself alive, keep your kids alive, make sure your family keep you pushing on top of all the obstacles that, again, are meant to break you. You got to learn how to bend. You got to learn how to be flexible.
And just regular life stuff, like you said.
Regular life stuff we're talking about. These are, extreme things. But regular life things. And so when you grow up in environments and deal with said situations, circumstances that we're talking about, again, once over multiple generations, okay? I could understand how you could develop a potentially negative worldview. I can understand how you can be cynical. I can understand how you could be reluctant to any type of change and have a lot of fear and anxiety. And then, of course, mixing a little personal trauma, some abuse, some poverty, and some systemic racism. And hello, Black America, okay? Or anywhere else in the diaspora where these things are prevalent and happen often. So I think, saying all that to say, I have compassion, which we're always about, and empathy for past generations. We're millennials. We like to shit on everybody that's not a millennial. Like, why are you not better? Why are you not trying to make, we the therapy generation. How does Sarah Jakes Roberts put it? She was like, I be trying not to weaponize my wellness against people. Like, you know what I mean? We're those people. You know what I mean? We like, our kids is gonna be next level. Okay. I mean, they're still gonna deal with it. But I get why other generations are reluctant to push past, deal with things, right? Because they deal with things that we have to deal with it, but it ain't at that level. Like when I be seeing them footage of like people getting chased by the dogs
and the water hoses and the things.
John Lewis' whole skull got cracked open. Like I don't know. I think I would have been out there, but again, I don't know. It's just a lot of things that
You'd have definitely been in jail.
I for sure would have been in jail. I know that. The only reason I haven't been in jail in the times I was protesting is because she was like, you better make sure you come back to this house at the end of the night. But you know, it can always go down. Anyway, yeah, all of those experiences, I could see how they could promote an idea that things are dangerous, an idea that things will perpetually have bad outcomes, that you get programmed to be jaded, to be cynical, to not deal with things. It's very easy to stick to what you know. Don't try nothing different because this worked. We've survived doing these things.
Yeah.
These are the things that have kept us alive. So why would you deviate from the program, even if the program is killing you? So again, all of that goes against
embracing
change,
idea,
right? Embracing the idea of change.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, everything we've ever known about life at some point was unknown to us. Like everything, walking, breathing, talking, going to school, socializing, peopling, money, technology, pick a thing, okay? Everything was unknown to us at some point, and nobody really died, right? Computers, rotary phones to cell phones. Cell phones, we about to be in the metaverse with the Oculus goggles and all the things. Like we've always had some form of learning curve that requires change and requires us to be flexible about something. And we just kind of learn how to do it. Like nobody is dead or dying. It just
I don't know.
Well,
some people did die from change, you know.
In extreme situations.
Yeah.
Like, yes, there are situations that are very extreme. So less extreme cases aside, we just talking about basic. You might have to move cities. You might have to get rid of some friends. You might have to, we did a whole thing in the holidays. You might have to tap out for the holidays. You might have to be there for an hour instead of 4 or 5 hours because you know things is going.
You might have to hang out with only certain cousins, not all the cousins.
So we're talking about those things, not the And all of that flexibility helps you to welcome new things, embrace change. And again, I know some people are like, girl, this sounds very overwhelming. You don't know my life. You don't know me. I've said it myself. However, again, we don't have to live on the extremes, okay? Of complete fear and fear of lack of control, okay? Most of the time, though death is always present on the table as humans, period. Most of the time, you're not going to die. It feels like you're going to die. You might have some embarrassing stories and moments that feel like, girl, drink the drink.
I just was drinking the drink. Mind your business.
Drink the drink. I'm just worried about the auditory audience. That's all I'm saying. You might have had some experiences that feel like a fate worse than death, okay? Or something close to it. But normally, usually, you will adjust. You will make the adjustment. And again, this is progressive. We're not asking you to do all the things all at once, all at one time. That would be silly. As we say around here often, which I learned from Cedric the Entertainer in Barbershop as he was playing Eddie, you got to take baby steps, okay? You got to take baby steps. You just got to do one little thing at a time. We're not asking you to make ginormous leaps and bounds. That too will be very overwhelming for your brain. So just baby steps. That's how we talk. So let's dive into some solutions.
Right. So the first thing you got to do is figure out what is the fear about? What, I don't like change. I'm good the way I am, whatever. But really at the bottom of it,
at the core,
what is the reason you really don't want to change or even think about it or talk about it? Kick it with your skate. None of it. You don't want to think about it. 9 times out of 10, it has to do with past experience. Somewhere
Which is really
long
all therapy will
ago
do for you at the end
in
of the day.
your life, something happened that made you fearful of what could happen if things changed. Your parents got a divorce. Somebody broke up with you. You, like you say, you had to move to a different city. Your family's
Start all over.
financial situation changed. I don't know. Any
Pick a thing.
pick a thing.
Find a thing.
You got pulled over by the police and you were afraid you weren't. It can go from high to low to just you went to middle school and they talked about your shoes and whatever, because you know the middle school girls are a whole nother open show. But whatever it was, there is a past experience, some kind of thing, some kind of trauma or whatever that makes you go to a place where, listen, I ain't even trying to do that. Tumultuous households, all that
toxic relationships,
all of it. Dealing with loss. Somebody died. You lost a loved one early in life, later in life, unexpectedly. You have immense grief. You have guilt. Maybe you felt like there was something you could have done or whatever. All of those things can factor into the fact that you say, I ain't trying to change. If this
I ain't
is
trying to
working,
do all that.
If this is working, I'm gonna just sit and camp right here. Or you can have a strong need for perfection. Things have to be perfect. Maybe, and that could be part of your past experience too. You may have grown up in a household where perfection was the standard. And so
what is perfection?
Right.
Perfection
whatever somebody thought was perfection
That's
was the standard. So they, you know, the finger was always on you, the eye was always on you. Are you doing this? Are you doing that? Whatever, you know. As Black people growing up in the 50s,
you got to work twice as hard.
You got to work half as much. Twice as hard, be half as much. Don't be out here embarrassing us in front of these white people. There was all this whole set of morals and rules and hair and this and that and whatever that you had to prove that you were a respectable, quote unquote, Negro, you know. So there was all that perfection on top of just regular life stuff. And then sometimes the opposite of fear of perfection is fear of failure. You know, you think,
or they're twins,
or kissing cousins. You know, nothing goes perfect all the time. So again, now is when you have to change your perspective. The lens has to change to this failure is an opportunity for growth. And people say that all the time, but it really is. If you go through something and you fail at it, you learn what not to do, or you learn what to do differently. And if you can look at it that way, then change becomes something that can be exciting, because you know, once you get past this one, you're going to be on a different level. You're going to go somewhere else. And
that's part of a growth mindset, which we often talk about around here, because it helps with your resilience so that things aren't dire and bleak. Okay.
Just because it didn't turn out exactly like you thought it was going to turn out the first time.
Now, we're definitely preaching to the choir. Okay. So we've gone through these things. We go through these things. It's not like we've completely mastered them, but we're learning as you're learning, okay? To recognize
every week.
So
we learn something new.
Review time. These are definitely things that we have discussed on previous Truthful Chats. So go back, find them. But we're gonna do a quick recap, and we're coining these, okay? Because I feel like we talk about them so much now that we was like, we gotta coin them. We gotta make them a thing. All right. So these are. I love the R&B Money podcast with my whole soul, and they have a top 5. So I was like, we need a top 5. Shout out to Tank and J Valentine. So these are our top 5 Create Generational Wellness resets.
Reset. That was my reset.
That is a rewind.
Okay.
That's a reset. Oh, rewind. Y'all remember that from Selena? Anyway, so these are our top 5 Create Generational Wellness resets. Number 1, who got your back? We say it all the time. Who got your back? Who is your support system of trusted friends and family? We have some episodes back about that. How to identify those people.
Yeah.
So go through the archives, find them. And then your trusted professional, okay? Mental health professional or otherwise.
It's Thursday. We had therapy today.
Of choice. We sure did, and he's the best. Tremaine Walker is the best. I don't know how I would do life without him. I don't know. feel like there's not enough money, there's not enough trophies. Anyway, number 2. Where's your head at? Where is your head at? I can hear Andy now saying behind that preposition, but you know what I'm saying. A lot of it is just practicing positivity, okay? Because you got to recognize how you cope with it, okay? The negative thoughts are inevitable. We've already discussed and
be in the loop
numerous times that your brain is always going to pull up the most negative scenarios first because it's trying to figure out how to calculate things so you can, as they say in Hamilton, stay alive. Like that's really what it wants you to do. So it's always going to pull out all the negative scenarios first to be like,
what about this?
How can we?
But what if this?
How can we?
But
what about?
But
how,
maybe.
What?
And then
It's always trying to calculate, can we die from this? Is this something that's going into our lives? Can we die from this? And usually the answer is no. But it has to do the math, okay? Let your brain do the math.
Die of embarrassment, die of disappointment,
die
of all those things. They count in your mind.
You can also train your brain to run the positive scenarios too, okay? So just like you would do all the negative, try to do all the positive in as much detail. Now you might have to, we about the journals, you might have to like do active work for the positive part because your brain just, the negative is bop, 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 bop. We can spit it out. The positive is probably going to be like.
That's the rhythm of the positive. I like it. The rhythm of the positive is.
This is going to take a minute. But you can train your brain to do both. Negative outcome, positive outcome. Not everybody used to do pro cons and list. Just do it like that. Okay.
And do some reps. Get your positives up. Get your beat up on your positives.
It's something that I'm gonna have to do for myself. I have
to
be like,
your beat up on your positives.
I have to be like, well, girl, what about the other thing? But it takes it just takes a long time. All right, number 3. Reflection is key, okay? It's not just one of the best Disney songs ever created in Mulan. When will my reflection show who I am inside? It is part of our top 5. Again, it's all about, you got to learn, you got to train yourself for the positivity, okay? It's all about thinking about your positive past experiences, practicing your positive self-talk, which we've talked about before. You've survived and you've thrived in other contexts. Why do you think that this current situation that might cause you to change and be flexible is going to be different than any of the other things, okay? You just got to pull up, as Birdman once said in that legendary Breakfast Club moment where he pulled up on them when it was the original 3. No disrespect to Jesse and all them now, but when it was DJ, Envy, Angela Yee, and Charlamagne the God. And Birdman pulled up and said, put some respect on my name. Put some respect. Stop playing with my name, man. That's literally what you're going to have to tell your brain sometime. Like, put some respect on us. We've done this before. We can do it again, okay?
And listen, it takes 5 positive things to outweigh 1 negative thing. 5. And it goes slower. So do the math. I mean, just figure it out logically. If you hear 10 negative things, now you need 50 positive things. And you got to start learning how to rapid fire the positive back at the
just
negative.
As fast as the negative. Get the rhythm up. Get the rhythm up.
Yep.
Number 4, stay present. Okay, just stay present. Don't get stuck in the past and don't get lost in the sauce going too far in the future. This is speaking from a person who used to do that often in the younger part of my life. So you got to ground yourself in the present moment. Like in the moment. I also think I have been assessing if being in the present moment has made me boring. I just felt like I used to live a much more adventurous life in my head and I kind of miss it. Like now I just be like, I'm really boring in my head a little bit. But that's why I guess I'm a storyteller. I get to like engage and do things that way. But I used to really have like an incredible interior life and now it's just a little womp. I'm not saying that to be like, don't do it. But I feel like my actual life in the present has grown and become
better.
Yeah, I think I have more magical moments in real time instead of imaginary magical moments.
I like
so that. It's a trade-off. I'm not gonna lie to you, okay? But
you're older too.
It's the practice of taking that stuff and actually trying to like actually put it out in the universe in real time too. So we'll see. Some of those fantastical things might actually happen in real life. Anyway, if you focus on the what ifs, Okay, it can distract you from the beauty of the moment. You will be super distracted and off again,
all the time,
lost in the hypothetical sauce. And it's hard sometimes to get out of that mode. And it also hinders your ability to be able to cope with change because you're so busy off in the sauce, and it's not a great thing. Also, within being present, we are going to add our create generational wellness wins. You could call them acts, activities. I don't know. It's something these are the things we be repeating all the time that I was like, we got a coin. Okay. So they're there. Create generational wellness wins, acts, things to help you stay present. Okay. In the moment. Number one, mindfulness. We talk about it all the time. Okay.
I like to call them reps.
All right. The create generational wellness wins, acts, reps. Pick it.
Do them.
Okay. Do them. Number one is mindfulness. Okay. These are the things we always talk about. Breathing exercises, yoga, meditation, any of the things that are like
listen,
active.
I have been doing the stretching.
I love stretching.
I have been doing the stretching while I was gone for 2 months. I stretched every morning.
I stretch every morning.
And I still have been doing it since I got home. And it makes all the difference in the world. You do not know how much tension is in
your body on
a regular basis. And my sister, who is 87, I was trying to teach her how to stretch. I'm like, it's not too late to learn. Stretch your neck, turn it to the right, just stretch that part of your body because all your tension is somewhere in your body and you have to learn how to let it go.
I already told y'all about the somatic workouts, the somatic exercise, the somatic yoga, releasing all those pent up emotions that live somewhere in your body. Doing any of that, any of the things that connect your mind to your body and your body to your mind to have you be present in real time is important. Okay, that's number one, mindfulness. Number two, journaling. We say it all the time. You can have an actual piece of paper or a notebook and a pen. I am all about the phone. Okay, I have several notes apps where I write down all the things, but it is to keep track of your thoughts, track your mindsets. As things come to you, I'm doing a lot of emotional work. So sometimes I'll just be doing something and I'll be like, oh, shoot. It's a general question I will have phrased like, I wonder about this thing. And then all of a sudden the answer will come out of nowhere while I'm doing something.
Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord, that the answers are coming. Some people would think that's the Lord answering their prayer. I'm just saying it's not just your. So I'm just saying, and you can say thank you, Lord, when you get that revelation. Super churchy. But
okay, yes, thank you, the Lord, the universe, your internal intuition, however you wanna do it. She acted like that doesn't happen all the time, just in general. But okay, it's prayer time for you. All right. So keep a journal or something handy to write things down because you don't want to miss it when it drops. And then 3, support system check-in. Okay. It kind of goes back to what we were talking about before about where your squad at, where your people at, who are you checking in with. So all of these tools help you develop greater self-awareness and improve your well-being. Okay. The rounding out
make the top, it easier for you to embrace the change.
Rounding out the top 5 of our Create Generational Wellness resets, because those were the wins, acts, or reps within one of our top 5. Mm-hmm. So we're back to the top 5.
I got it. Okay.
We off perfection. We're not doing that. We all fit. This is speaking from a person who is a recovering perfectionist on a consistent basis. Okay. Fear can't exist where there are no unrealistic expectations. Okay. Girl, I probably got it from you. Well, do you see how this works? Here's what you got to understand about the previous generations. They act like we chose this for ourselves. Oh, they didn't think maybe I should deal with my stuff so I don't pass this.
I'm trying to deal with my stuff. That's what I'm doing right now.
But I already have it. So, I already have it.
Oh, but how do you think you started on this progression?
This is when people start trying to give themselves award certificates.
This is what I'm saying.
For things that
just tell the truth.
Think that they're responsible for. Did you cultivate a environment where going to therapy was not a weird thing?
Yes, I did.
However, I still had to do the work, and I'm still having to do.
Yeah, but you didn't have anybody telling you shouldn't want to do the work or that's stupid.
Okay, well then you're not putting a
or,
barrier to entry. A barrier.
Why should you even want to do that?
Thank you
That's
for
all
not
I'm saying.
putting a barrier to entry. So you just want me to give you flowers?
I would
for
like
that?
some.
Okay,
It's
you can have your flowers for that.
It's all right.
That being said, I am still a recovering perfectionist, and that being said, rounding out our top 5 is beyond perfection. See, all they want is praise. That's the thing. The baby boomers are really vain. They'll never say it because that doesn't fit into their.
It's not.
No, let me finish.
It's appreciation.
Whatever. They're prim proper decorum. Like they want validation.
We like
appreciation. They seek validation and appreciation.
We like a good thank you, gratitude.
It's not enough that they ruined a lot of things for us, but it's okay. It's okay, and just in real talk. But whatever. Yes, we will give you
just a little
y'all some appreciation for those of y'all who have figured the things out and are
a few things
starting the process of creating generational wellness.
Amen. Okay,
there we go. Yay for the baby boomers. Back to rounding out the top 5. We are perfectionists. Somebody who is a recovering perfectionist. Okay, again, fear cannot exist where there are unrealistic expectations. So part of it is just figuring out what your unrealistic expectations are and why do you have those? Where do they come from? What is their origin story? Anyway, perfection is like cement.
You got me back.
That's fine. Perfection is like raw growing. I don't care. Perfection is like cement for your professional or personal life. Okay, if you make your way all the way up to the top and you decide you're going to stay there, there's nowhere for you to go. You've ascended, you reached the thing, you've done the thing. Now that's also foolish because we all know, as we've talked about this entire episode, and we know all of life is like this. Nothing is going to truly stay
the same.
So you're going to be looking foolish because you're stuck in the same place doing the same things because you're so, to quote the great Tim Ross, white knuckling this idea of
that's so good.
Where you feel like you've got to, that you always wanted to get to, that you're finally here, that this is the mountaintop and we're never going to leave. And this is the thing. Something's going to change. Okay. The job, the person, death, something's going to happen. Loss, something's going to happen. That's going to make it. So you can't just continue to white knuckle because you're going to have to open up your hands eventually and let some things go. Okay. So a lot of it in terms of perfectionism will cause you to have an irrational fear of change because you are white knuckling. White knuckling anything is irrational. And what you white knuckle will eventually suffocate and die. That's for free. So, just try to. And I remember when I actively, like me and God had a conversation about this because I was in the stage where I talked about earlier, where I wanted to hold on to the life that I had planned so bad. And I was strangling all the things. And he was like, well, I can't really give you nothing else if you don't relinquish this because your hands are all closed. So you can't even receive nothing else. And I was like, you're right. That makes sense. Doesn't mean I didn't cry, freak out, have emotional breakdown or two, yada, yada, yada. That's for another day. Anyway, perfectionism really limits your ability to consider any other kind of possibilities because you're white knuckling. Look at your hands. Nothing can go in and nothing can come out because you're doing this. Instead of just inhala, exhala, as they say on the Jane the Virgin, and then your hands are open for things to be snatched, released, or things to be received and put into your hand.
Nicely put somewhere else.
But you ain't gonna know.
Something else put back in.
If you're white knuckling.
Amen.
Shout out to Tim Ross and the Dwellers in the basement. The Gray with the deep end. Shout out to
him. So I'm gonna drink now.
I'm just saying. It's kind. It's auditorily kind. It's an auditory courtesy to make sure you have clear voice, no phlegm.
Anyway. All right. Honorable mentions for some more practical ways to become more flexible, to reduce that fear, to look at the fear, reduce it, and get over your lack of control. Be bold and open to new experiences. I know some people. We used to live in Burbank, and we used to hear some people in Burbank say, "I've never been anywhere ever other than Burbank.
And Burbank is cool, but
They went to elementary school in they went to preschool in Burbank, elementary school in Burbank, middle school in Burbank, high school. Grew up, got married to their high school sweetheart in Burbank. I'm like,
it's a small town.
it's a small town.
Small
So
town
I'm
energy.
just saying, sometimes you got to be bold and do something. Travel. Just go somewhere. Just go somewhere you've never been. I don't care if it's riding up the coast to Santa Cruz or whatever.
Exposure is
it takes a step to say, I'm going to go do somewhere. I'm going to go somewhere different. I'm going to eat somewhere different. I'm going to eat a different kind of food. I'm going to talk to different kind of people, you know, and I know that's crazy in this day and age, but yeah.
Exposure
is key. Incorporate some physical activity into your life. I just talked about the stretching. We talked about
Well, I will say this too, because Donald McKinley Glover III said this on the Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and I couldn't agree more. I forgot the context of the episode, but he was in some scene where he was talking to a bunch of Black people on a spy mission. And they were talking about physical activity and doing all the things. And he was like, once you get over 30, it's really about maintenance. Like, he was like, all that hardcore cardio and all of that, the insanity.
The stretching will become your friend.
Listen, the stretching, getting the blood flowing, getting some oxygen into your muscles with your mindfulness and your stretching. It will empower you to do all the other crazy stuff if that's what you want. But you only get one body, and the bones and the muscles be deteriorating, and the things be happening faster than you expect. So just,
I don't know, that might sound crazy to somebody who has a memory of working for hours and hours in the field or this, that, and the other, whatever. So you talking about stretching might sound like, child, what you talking about? But we don't live that way anymore, all right? So even like I said,
shout out to the migrants that be picking all our fruit that people don't pay y'all, and they expose y'all to foolishness.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like I was saying,
most people are not.
I was trying to teach my 87-year-old sister about stretching, because it's not something that we talked about growing up, or anybody in my family talked about growing up. So again, it's healthy. It'll help increase your wellness, but it's not necessarily something that's a part of our genetic cultural DNA. So some things you got to be open to experiment with. Always work at developing a growth mindset. That's what that is. That is saying, all right, we've done this way for 35 years. Maybe, I don't know, just maybe. We could try something a little bit different, see if it helps, see if it works. Plan for the change. You think you know what's going to happen. It might happen that way, but you might need a plan B. And if you have a plan B and that doesn't work, it's not the end of the world either.
No one's going to die. Hopefully.
Listen, we have learned, like I said, from living history, the adaptability, the resilience,
Black people,
the whatever, the ability to change as Black people, from slavery to the migration to this to that, to running, to all of the things that we've gone through as a people, is time enough for us to know that change,
social proof, if you will,
is gonna happen, gonna be present, and we can get through it, especially if we can figure out how to be consistent.
Correct.
Some of that is just keep running, and you're gonna get to where
just
it
keep
is.
swimming as
you're trying to go.
Finding
Amen.
It's very true. So you bend, don't break. You bend, you don't break. This is important. It's an important tenet of creating generational wellness, because it will indeed help us grow in multiple areas of our life. Okay, this is not like something you only apply to one thing and then you don't apply to nothing else. Like, this is
everything.
Relationships, family, money, career, kids.
And there's a lot of information out there about how are you adaptable at work? How are you flexible at work? But if you're flexible in your star player inner person, if you're flexible within yourself, there's nowhere you're going to go that those tenets that you understand about yourself and your flexibility and your ability to embrace change are not going to go with you.
And hopefully those things are going to push us to be better, right? At the end of the day, which is really the point of creating generational wellness for you and then passing that down to others. And, you know, it helps you realize like we cannot control everything. Okay? That is an unrealistic expectation. However, what you can't control it. Okay. Which is some of the things we've been talking about today. But again, we can always learn more about ourselves through these situations. We're definitely stronger than we think. We're definitely adaptable. We're definitely more flexible. We're hella resilient. Okay. Especially if you're melanated. It's just in our DNA. It's in our history. It's in our blood. It's what the people follow.
We had to be, or we wouldn't still be.
It's really fact. And in the situations and times where you do feel like you're finna break, okay, because it's gonna happen. But again, you are bending. You're not supposed to be breaking, okay? You're supposed to bend. You don't break. You have at your disposal now the top 5 Create Generational Wellness resets and the Create Generational Wellness wins, acts, or reps, whatever you want to call them. You have them at your disposal to give you space, places, people to reevaluate things. Think about your point of view. How can you become a better person? Does this thing still work for you? Is it still valuable? Do you want to do it? Do you want to pass it on to future generations? Do you want to practice it? Is it something you can modify to make better, have a better quality of things, or are you going to toss it out altogether? These are all the things
that you have the
power to do here at Create Generational Wellness, where we're trying to teach, instill, and give this to the people. Okay, so learning to bend but not break is an ongoing process. All right, this is not something that you're gonna snap. It's gonna be like the positive. It's gonna be on the positive rhythm for a while. It's gonna be delayed. It's gonna be like the people that don't quite know how to be on beat, and you'd be like, it's a little ugly.
But you can learn.
But you can. What is it? We clap on a 2 and 4. They clap on a 3 and
1 and 3.
We clap on a 1 and 3.
No.
We clap on a 2 and 4. See, I don't even know. That's how black I am. We clap on a 2 and 4. Y'all clap on a 1 and 3. But you know, in some places you got the 2 and 4 rhythm down. In other places, it's the 1 and 3. We just trying to
adapt.
We just trying to adapt. We trying to get flexible. We trying to
embrace change.
Beyonce on the beat. We trying to be on the beat. We always on the beat.
That's the 1 and 3.
Well, because of the country. But isn't that a artist too? We're not gonna get off. Anyway, 2 and 4 is what we're shooting for. Okay, but that requires patience, perseverance, positive outlook. So let's just keep building on our first tenet. Right, you're one of one. That's about embracing your uniqueness. Your originality, celebrating that, doing you better than anybody else. And now we're here at our second tenet, which is you bend, you don't break. Okay. Now the breaking moments are going to test you, but you have all of these things to make you more bendable, more flexible, more resilient. Okay. And these are just some of the tenets that we have here at Create Generational Wellness. We will be back here, same time, same place next week with our next tenet. And we hope that you'll join us, but you ain't gonna know what's going on at all. If you are not subscribed on the YouTube channel, follow us on the IG, Facebook, fan base. We're at Create Generational Wellness on all the platforms and the socials. Okay. Truthful Chats again is the weekly podcast series. And yeah, we got some really cool things coming down the way. Cooking, I know we've said it before, but we really had a meeting this week about how to actually fully implement it. Granted, we have personal family things going on and stuff. So this is not the only thing that we do with our lives, as you will. So yeah, we hope you'll come back. Hope you come back. That was Kendrick's mom on Good Kid, Mad City. And we hope you're enjoying the tenets. I think they're cool. I think it's crystallizing some things. I think it's
like if people say, what is Create Generational Wellness? We're like, we want to be able to tell you it's these basic tenets with these resets and these reps.
And these reps. And these are the things that we're about around here. So we're just trying to give you
and we try every day. Let's be real clear. Every day.
Because we are what is it?
We're at perfection.
What are we, Sherpas? We're not the people who are coming to you having mastered all the things. We're more like a guide. I think Sherpas are what they call it. We guide it. No, I think
that's not that. All right.
But like we're guiding you through as we are learning and improving ourselves. Okay. So with that, we will bid you adieu and we'll see you next week.
All right. Love y'all. Bye.